Alright, Ultimate Hoops Nation. I'm Aaron Wimsett. I'm here with
Lisl Steinbergs.
And this is This Week in Open.
This Week in Open.
Final Four tonight, and man, was it good. We had a double overtime game and a down to the wire game.
Down to the last free throw. 0.1 seconds to go.
First game we had our number 1 seeded Wolves versus the number 5 seeded Get Shook. 2 overtimes, lots to talk about here.
Yeah.
Was kind of a close game for the first half. I think the second half the Wolves pulled away. I think they were up by like 12.
Yep, they did. Yep, they had a lead and then gave it up. They gave it up with starting about 4-minute mark. Get Shook started coming back. Things started to break down for the Wolves a little bit. Had a couple turnovers, had a couple missed opportunities, and Get Shook capitalized on every possession that they had.
Yeah, Get Shook. They really made the difference with their press.
Yep.
They started pressuring probably.
I don't know. I mean, they were just causing chaos, and the Wolves, who are normally a really disciplined team, a great passing team, threw the ball away a couple times at crucial moments.
So Get Shook with their press, they were up. I think they were up 79-75.
Yep.
With 50 seconds left. Ellis Capel's at the line. I think he missed both free throws, or he missed one. Neil Anderson comes down. He drains a 3.
Yep.
It's 79-78.
Typical of Neil Anderson, though. Absolutely cannot sleep on him. At that moment when he let go of that 3, the Get Shook guys were already looking at each other like, what? We cannot let him go. We know better than this. But too late. Ball's gone, and it goes in.
So after that, the Wolves foul because they were down by 1. They foul Alex Johnson. He goes 1 for 2. The free throws really plagued Get Shook down the stretch.
Yes, they did, and those are moments that those guys would really like to have back. And then coming up after the missed free throws, there was definitely a psychological factor there. So Wolves come down, they don't capitalize on their possession. Get Shook gets the ball back. They bring it down with about 30 seconds to go. They're trying to run time off the clock. Well, not paying attention to what the 5 count is on the ball, the Wolves come out and actually double Alex Johnson. As they're doubling him,
that was in overtime, second overtime.
Was that the second one? So
yeah.
that's going down to the wire in the final overtime. So they're, totally playing smart defense, and he just loses track of the time. And actually, our referee, Travis Gardner, said to the guys that were on the sideline, I even gave him a 6th, I didn't blow the whistle until my 6th time that the arm went out. So he had a full extra second to get rid of the basketball, but he was not even looking to pass by that point. Turnover.
So Alex Johnson, the end of the
regulation.
End of regulation. He goes 1 for 2. Wolves come down. I think there's 8, 7 somewhere around their seconds. Mm-hmm. They give Neil Anderson the ball.
Of course.
He gets fouled taking a 3.
I
think it was Ellis.
Yep, put a forearm right in the ribs, shoved him out.
Leg, but Neil Anderson, you think he's money? You think he's going to seal the game? They were down by 2, so he went to the line for 3. You think it's done deal, sealed?
Yep. And he's ice water in his veins. The first 2 free throws are just in, nothing but net, and he's just cool as a cucumber.
Misses the 3rd. So we go into overtime. First overtime was as even as you can get it. Back and forth, I think.
Trade buckets, layup for layup, 3 for 3.
Yep. It was kind of Alex Johnson versus Neil in that first overtime.
Yep. Although Ellis Caples had one super athletic move too, where he had to put back, he got a rebound, and there was a crowd of Wolves in the lane, but for whatever reason, he had a nice fake and made them believe he was going to pass out and just laid it in with nobody contesting.
So then, the second overtime, you kind of spoke about it. It was kind of crunch time, and Get Shook. We had the 5-second call on Alex Johnson, which was a big kind of brain fart.
Big letdown. So, and at that point, too, because they had control, because they felt confident in the momentum being in their, on their side, I think he got a little cocky, felt a little too comfortable, and then that turnover really sucked the air out of them. They come down, and Clinton Parker gets a foul called on him, and he fouls out. That really threw them for another loop as well. It was just compounding.
So at the end of the game, Wolves, you're obviously giving the ball to Neil. He hits a nice little, I don't know what you call the shot, nice little runner, one-handed pull-up.
Yep. Pull-up jumper about 4 to 6 feet out.
Yep, with about 3 seconds left to win the game. Neil easily was the best player in the game. He had 34 points. I think he had, I want to say, eight 3 points, eight 3-point shots, which again you kind of expect.
Well, if you know him at all, you should expect it.
The Wolves were without
Antoine Lynch
and
Joe Suick. So rebounds, wow. Thursday, that's going to be big to have them back.
If they're here tonight, do you think the game's this close?
I think it's different, but I think Joe brings a sort of match to the athleticism that Get Shook has. Get Shook is a very high-flying team, a very smash-and-grab type of team, bunch of slashers, and that's more of Joe's style as well. So it could have gone differently, but I think that the foul count would have also been different, just based on the way that the game was being called and also their styles of play. So, yeah, I think it would have been a pro for sure for the Wolves to have him, but at the same time, it would have changed the flavor of the game earlier, I think.
So, the Wolves advanced to Thursday's game in Fridley at 8 o'clock. Our second game, we had
Arch
the
rivals.
number three ranked Bulls.
Number three
ranked Bulls
seeded Bulls.
versus 2 Rip City, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tale of two halves. The Bulls were up by 9 at half.
At halftime.
And Rip City comes all the way back to win by 1.
Yes.
I believe.
But if you guys, anybody who's watching this that knows our league at all, this is what Rip City does. They let teams hang around. They let things go too far. Teams that never should be in competition with them or are not on their level as far as ability and talent, they let those things happen. And then when it comes to the last few minutes, they want to turn it on and go. And many games they've lost because at that point that they want to turn on their heel and make the advance, they might not be able to, or they might be in a bad situation to do that. Another problem that they face all the time is they tend to fight with each other when things don't go well. Peter and Kenny tend to have arguments. Steve and Femi argue with each other. Femi and Steve argue with Peter and Kenny. 2 sets of brothers. What do you expect? There's going to be a little sibling rivalry. There's going to be a little bit of sibling angst. But in tonight's situation, if the Bulls had been able to hang on, which what ended up happening down the stretch is they missed crucial free throws, but if they had been able to hang on, the Rip City guys were really at each other. There would have been a chink in their armor. There would have been an opportunity for them to maybe capitalize if it had gone to overtime.
So you don't feel like the Bulls are on the same level as Rip City?
No, what I'm saying is that typically if you watch Rip City, not talking about the Bulls specifically, but talking about, let's say if Rip City's playing against maybe the 8th seed in this tournament, and they let that game remain close. That's a game where they should blow out and they should be ahead and go ahead early. And they allow those teams to hang around, to be there until the final buzzer. And that has hurt them really badly in the past. They have had worse records in their regular season because they allow things like that to go on. Secondly, sometimes when that happens, then they start arguing because, they feel like, oh, one guy's not really playing defense the way that he should, and, or somebody made a bad pass, or somebody didn't hit their... Right, or tonight it was a lane violation. Tonight, okay, so, Kenny and Peter both were getting on Steve Salaja, who he had a lane violation. So it gets down, there's 0.1 seconds left to go. They foul Brensley as he's driving to the hole. It's still called as an on-the-floor foul, even though he's driving at that point to score. They went 1-and-1. The call was 1-1. Brinsley makes the first free throw. They were down 2. So now it's a 1-point game, and you've got everybody that could is in, Femi's down low. They've got everybody filled in, and you've got Steve Salaja out at the 3-point line, and he's encroaching on Brinsley as he's shooting. Now, all it had to be was 1 inch of his shoe over that 3-point line to have that lane violation called. And Vince Fowler, our third referee tonight, he made the call, and Brinsley had another opportunity. He missed that free throw, so it did not count anyway because there was a lane violation, and then, of course, has the opportunity to capitalize again and misses 2 in a row. Very unlike Brinsley Haywood, if you know him at all. So, shocker, and that was a tough way to go out for them.
Yeah, and the Bulls, you got kind of a 3-headed monster for Rip City, so you're pretty much picking your poison. I don't think you shut down Kurt and the Olafeso brothers. You just can't shut down all 3 of them. They held the Olafeso brothers to 5 for 22 combined. I think Kenny only
2 points.
Only had 2 points. But
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember the last time that he was that low in scoring. Maybe he had one game a while ago where he had 8 or 6 points, but most of the time, double digits is a guarantee for both of them. They're almost always a double-double, especially for Kenny, who really focuses on the boards and on defense. Peter held a 17. I mean, that doesn't sound like he's really, but that is for him, who's averaging close to 30. But Kurt Koenig finally breaking free. Now, Kurt, a scoring leader every season when he's with the Monstars, when he's with with the Bulls. He's a prolific scorer. He had a game this season where he scored 6 points, and he came back and told me the game after, he was like, that was the worst ever. I have to get my game. And that night he picked it up and he had 20 plus. Tonight he goes for 32. He absolutely carried Rip City. He definitely looked like the season that he won MVP, like the old Kurt Koenig. Guys, look out, he's back.
For the Bulls, I mean, it's what you expected. Mo, Brinsley.
Yep. They could have really used Jason Hellman tonight. He would have been a real big contributor, especially from the outside. I think the guys that were here did what they could, but at the same time, tonight was just a grind. Mm-hmm. I mean, 30 in the 30s and 20s at halftime. That's a really low scoring game for both of these teams. A week and a half ago when they played, it was a complete disaster. The Bulls, 19 points at halftime, just could not right the ship. They were literally down 50 at one point. They did make a run at the end to kind of save a little bit of face, but honestly, that was a completely one-sided blowout. So coming into tonight, they definitely had some things to overcome in terms of that psychological piece. But they came out, traded buckets, were up at half, and then just let enough of a slide, and the Twins and company picked things up to the point where, man, then it was at the end, bucket for bucket, and 1 point for 1 point.
Free throws became a factor, and Rip City came out.
Yeah.
So we have the number 1 and number 2 seed, which I don't think happens very often in this league. Again, the game is Thursday. The game will be played at 8, and it is at Fridley Lifetime Fitness. Let's talk MVP, Peter Olafeso. I'll post the results tomorrow or Wednesday. But it was really tight. I think he edged Mo by a vote.
Is that legal? Can they win by 1? Doesn't it win by 2? Maybe next time.
Talk about Peter and what he brings to Rip City.
Well, Peter, I know everybody's familiar with his scoring abilities, and he's an athlete. He really plays 44 minutes practically every single game, doesn't rest a whole lot. He puts a lot into keeping himself in shape, and he's very proud of his body, as you can see from lots of our photos. But he has reason to be. He really works hard on you know, this is a guy who most people may not know, but especially in the spring and summer, he'll be out running the lakes before he comes in for a game. He needs to get 3 to 5 miles in running before he plays. You know, he really is a fitness, you know, specimen, I guess, for lack of a better term. And he really balances what he does in the weight room, you know, versus his brother, Kenny, who really likes to go heavy on the weights and build bulk. So Peter's somebody who, he takes time, he really thinks about, you know, preparation. He also is, while he likes to have a little bit of theater in the game, he brings a balance to those guys. He really keeps everybody in check. He's able to talk to Femi if Femi's upset. He's able to, you know, talk to his brother. When he's upset, he'll listen when those guys are trying to reason with him. So they have a very good chemistry in that they're very emotional players, very passionate, but Peter's definitely somebody who, especially this season, after the game tonight, I let him know, I said, hey, make sure you guys be nice. And he said, you know what, I've already made an effort to be extra good in terms of they've stopped so much talking to the referees. His leadership capacity has come out. So I have to give credit for Peter as the GM of really bringing Rip City to the next level in their game, but also in maturity.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I was before you said what you said. I mean, the one, and I don't get to watch him as much as you, but the one thing that I see from him is he's kind of the glue of that team. If you know, if somebody is, you know, not playing defense or whatever, he's on them. He also does a good job of calming everybody down.
Yep. Which did not used to be his role.
And keeping everybody going. Like,
yep.
they were down at half, and you know,
he's the encourager.
He's the steady.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
So.
He definitely does that. And so in terms of leadership and also his scoring prowess, I think this is an award well earned.
And I don't think he's won it before.
No, I believe this is his first time. So kudos to you, Peter. Congratulations. And also to speak to his team leadership ability. When we presented him with the award, he got the attention of all his teammates, and
gave a speech.
Yep, he gave a speech, and also you'll look and you'll see online on Facebook there's a team photo with the award, and it's because he turned to them and he said, "This isn't an award for me." He said, "This is a reflection of our team of Rip City," and I thought that was very very humble of him and very classy. Exactly. Very, very MVP-like. So, congrats again to you, Rip City. Congrats to you, Peter.
Just quick, I know you're going to write your predictions later, and you want time to really look at it and dig into it. Number 1, Wolves versus number 2, Rip City. Off the top of your head, before writing predictions, who do you have?
Ooh, that's tough. Rip City by 3.
Well, again, Thursday night, 8 p.m. in Fridley. We'll see you guys there.
Be there.